All of the 20 living hostages held by Hamas were released today as part of a ceasefire deal. Hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel also walked free. And this afternoon, President Trump said that the war in Gaza is over as he made a speech in Egypt. That is where he and other world leaders signed off on a Gaza peace plan. So what does this moment signal? And is this truly the end of the bloodshed and the violence related to this war? I'm joined now by Ohio State University history professor Peter Hahn. Peter, you and I spoke at the start of this war. Now we're finally seeing the remaining living Israeli hostages released by Hamas. How does this moment compare to maybe other hostage releases tied to ceasefires in the Middle East?
It's a dramatic moment, certainly, with the release of the hostages and the corresponding release of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. It beckons, it opens a new era of hope that maybe the Israelis and Palestinians can work out some type of long-term solution. But in my judgment, it's just the first step on a long road that has to be transited before we get to a permanent peace settlement in the Middle East. The Middle East, the record of Middle East history on Arab-Israeli matters is littered with the wreckage of countless ceasefires that have been enacted and that have resulted in the guns falling silent for a while, but then have collapsed and allowed the resumption of war rather than leading to permanent, enduring settlements. This time, of course, we're all hoping that the ceasefire will be just the first step on a road of a series of steps leading to a full-scale peace treaty, but that yet remains to be seen.
And President Trump, he delivered a speech this afternoon where he complimented other world leaders from Canada, Italy, Egypt, Pakistan, Hungary, and the EU. Given that you saw the other nations there, that they've signed off on this peace plan, do you have confidence it will hold? We haven't heard the same amount of information from Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, one of the great lessons to be taken away from the history of Arab-Israeli diplomacy is that no matter how fair or universally minded leaders of other countries outside the region are about peace terms, the two powers that have all of the decision-making authority are the two powers that are fighting, in this case, the Israelis and the Palestinians. They are the ones that have to decide the peace terms are fair and that they're willing to accept them and live with whatever risks they come with in exchange for whatever benefits they provide. Over the last 80 years, the U.S. has floated numerous peace plans that were written by U.S. or Western or UN officials. From an outside objective point of view, they look perfectly fair, like a really good solid basis to make a compromise peace settlement. But then one side or the other, or both, among the belligerents found the terms unacceptable, and so no peace agreement materialized. So really we have to wait and see how the Israeli government and how Hamas and other Palestinian leaders view the peace terms, view the prospects of peace, weigh the potential costs versus the potential gains, and make decisions based on their own interests.
How do you think Gaza can move forward with its future? It has a lot of rebuilding to do. I'm wondering what the history tells us about that, and also if you think that another group will just fill the vacuum left behind by Hamas.
There are some precedents of massive rebuilding of devastated urban landscapes in the aftermath of war. One could look at Berlin or Paris or London or any number of other European cities in the late 1940s. With the proper application of know-how and an infusion of funding, in this case most likely from the international community, Gaza could be rebuilt. Now, that's relatively easy to sort of map out or anticipate how that could happen. What's unknown is the extent to which Hamas will relinquish its authority. There is some evidence to sustain the belief that Hamas might not yet fully disarm, and that might actually provide a rationale for Israel to resume military hostilities. Hamas is talking today about the possibility of remaining intact and remaining in a position of authority, but also being willing to compromise and sign a treaty with Israel. Whether the Israelis would accept such a deal remains to be seen. There's reason for skepticism.
All right, well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us as we look at this historical moment in modern time and you know how we've seen things play out in the past. Appreciate your help.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.